that the reason why you want to change, you should use innovative ways to let them understand that they need to change the way they do things. And again, you should dialogue with them. I believe if you have clear communication rules, they will understand and go by your way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I would now like to come on my right. Honorable Saibu, you may take the floor.
Mr. Chairman, let me thank you for the opportunity. Honorable nominee, my sister, congratulations.
Thank you, my brother.
So, what is this monster called public sector? And what are the ills in the public sector that you are called to come and reform? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Public sector is simply that part of the economy that is controlled by government. It is institutions, service, and employees. The ills are so many. It ranges from lack of or limited resources, bureaucracies, political interference, and even resistance to this bureaucracy. Thank you.
Any follow up on that?
Yes, please, Chairman. So how do you plan to get these ills sorted out as Minister if you are given the opportunity?
Thank you very much. When given the opportunity, I will go by government policy, but to my own initiative, I will engage state and non-state actors. I will engage the various sectors of the public sector services. Even people just think that when you mention public sector, just about local government. The Constitution provides the public sector in Article 191. There are a list of them, from the judicial services even to the parliamentary services that we have. So, for me, we are going to look at strengthening the institutional framework. We are going to look at how we can manage with our listener resources. We are going to see how we can leverage on technology to understand, or for people to understand, that technology can help us to do away with some of the corrupt practices. Thank you very much.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Sustainability of the program. Can you tell us how impactful and sustainable? You have alluded to many ills. Tell us how sustainable and impactful that these will be.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. There's a roadmap that has started from the National Action Plan 1. Today we are in National Action Plan 5. And I think that if we go with that roadmap, I think we can achieve success. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, let me wish the nominee the very best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will. I think I'll go there and come in. Yeah, I'm good. I will go to the Honorable, the second subject matter. Honorable Kidwa. Yes, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. Honorable nominee, congratulations on your nominations.
Thank you very much, my brother.
I have got a few questions for you. I believe you would be able to give me the responses needed. So, Honorable nominee, I believe you know there has been significant work done by the previous administration in transforming the public sector. And the key tool that has been used is through what we call e-governance or digitalization. And I'm sure you are conversant with the name when we talk about digitalization. This has led to successes like the Ghana Gov platform, as we know, the paperless port system, GRA payments, which is digitalized, and so on and so forth. All these have been done to make sure the public sector works, and it has even gone beyond the public sector, like we have the national ID and so on and so forth. Do you believe that digitalization and e-governance is indeed the way forward to transforming the public sector? Do you believe in that? And if you do, what will be the new frontiers for you? Because a lot of work has been done already in terms of e-governance. If you believe in it as the way to transform the public sector, what would be your own new frontiers? I want us to hear from you. Which areas, what are you going to do in terms of e-governance, if you believe it is the way forward? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for that question. Yes, I do. I do believe that digitalization is the way to go. Yes, some work has been done. The GIFMIC system, the current payment system, but that is not enough. I am here to strengthen what has started already, to strengthen all the digital platforms that has been started already. You know that there are offices or there are some departments. For example, Shraj. They don't even have enough computers. They don't have workable computers that you can just transfer one file to the other. So it is my responsibility to continue from where you started and make the public sector efficient, modern, and robust. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I
A
just...
second or you follow up?
yeah, a follow-up, a clarity, more or less. So Honorable Nominee, thank you. I just need a bit of clarity. You know, you talked about getting computers for certain departments and so on. Yeah, computers, they are basic to work with, you know, in this modern world. But I wanted to understand really, like I said, we have the Ghana Gov platform, we have the paperless port system, we have the GRA payments now, digitalized, and these are the programs. Even if you go further, talked about national ID, mobile, what about operability, and all these. What would be your own new channels? What are you going to do? Computers are basics. What is on your mind? What have you planned in terms of e-governance? What is on your mind?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I cannot work alone. I have to work with the communication ministry. I have to work with other government ministries and agencies so that the work will be done. Thank you. So there's going to be a collaboration between agencies, ministries, and other public service offices. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, that's your response. Not fully convinced. I mean, maybe you need to think through to...
Honorable, please go to your next question. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. Honorable Nominee, my second question, you know there's a budget that is scheduled to be presented soon. We've heard of 11th March. I'm sure you are aware. So this budget definitely is going to allocates funds to various ministries, agencies, and what have you of the government to promote their programs for the year. Your ministry, which seeks to reform the rest of the ministries, okay, what comes to mind when you anticipate such a budget reading coming up? What sort of item, budget lines or budget items would you expect to be aligned to your reformist ministries? In your own view, what would you require to be able to succeed in your new reformist sector? What really do you think that should be allocated to you? I'm not talking about numbers, but in terms of focus areas, what do you expect to be allocated, to you?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry, Honourable Member, know that the nominee is not here to basically tell us what is to come in the budget. Her responsibility this morning is to basically tell us how competent she is for the job that she's going to do. So let's not make it too technical, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In fact, the question I'm asking is really innocent. It's not technical at all. What I'm saying is you are coming into a ministry, a reformist ministry, and you have a plan on your mind. I'm sure once you were called and informed that you are going to be given this ministry, then you would have a plan on your mind that I want to do A, I want to do B, I want to do C. All these plans, you would need some budgetary allocations to promote them. So that is what I'm asking you. What has been on your mind, that the areas that you want to promote? I'm not saying tell us how much you want the minister to give to you or whatever. Which areas do you think, if the minister supported you through the budget reading, would help you to promote your reformist agenda? That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This question, I believe that my brother understands that my ministry is a minister of state in charge of public sector reforms. My budget is coming from the presidency, and I trust the finance minister that he will do a good job to make sure that my ministry and the presidency has enough allocation to prosecute our programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman. So, a follow-up, I believe. So if you go to the ministry, yes, you are trusting the minister to do a good job to anticipate all your plans and give you something to run your ministry. What if, at the end of the day, all your plans, nothing really matches to what is in the budget, because you are only hoping that it's done, but you don't seem to have your own plans as to what really you would need funds to do. What if at the end of the day nothing really is allocated to support the areas that you want to use to reform the entire government ministries?
Thank you very much. I don't think that His Excellency the President John Mahama will appoint me as a minister designate and will not inform the finance minister to make allocation that is necessary for the running of the ministry. I believe that the discussions have gone on, and therefore I trust that my office or my ministry will be given the necessary allocation to run the programs of the ministry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have a last question, I believe. Last question, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Honorable nominee, your ministry is really one that can make the difference in terms of the entire public sector. Okay. Do you believe in performance-based accountability, i.e., certain performance objectives, certain performance targets for every civil servant, and ensuring that their various ministries assess them, and at the end of the day, based on balanced scorecard, either promote or demote or reward them or otherwise? Do you believe in such performance-based accountability for the entire civil service? Is this something that you are ready to drive?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Of course, if you go to a ministry and you are working with people, there must be performance. There must be appraisals. I want to see motivation and productivity. And you can't get productivity without motivation. The two of them go together. So once we are interested in productivity, we should be able to reward people who are working well. And how do you reward people? You have to use appraisal system. You have to use monitoring and evaluation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's a follow-up. Thank you. So how would you go about it? Where would you start from at all? It's a big space. You're telling us, given the timelines, what is your plan to get it starting and getting it working practically?
Thank you very much. We'll be looking at key performance indicators. We'll be looking at giving them a good working environment. We'll be looking at training and capacity building. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, please go ahead, follow up. Yeah, go ahead.
Chairman, thank you very much. Madam Nominee, as you may be aware, the previous government started some reforms in the public sector. Indeed, if I recall, there was a minister also in charge of public sector reforms. Is your assurance to this committee that you will start from where they left off? Is that your assurance to the committee?
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think you've exhausted your questions. Yeah. No, you please. Go ahead, Honorable, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Congratulations, my dear sister.
Thank you, big sis.
Your ministry is the public sector reform area. I want you to tell me what public sector reform means.
Public sector reform means interventions that will bring out efficiency, effectiveness, and responsive public sector service and public sector service delivery. Thank you.
My second question is, in your response to one of the questions, you mentioned GIFMIS. And I know very well that GIFMIS is a system that has come up to help actually in monitoring and curbing the issue of some leakages, losses, and what have you. But if you go back to our districts, you realize that at a point in time, there are some of the activities or some payments that are normally supposed to be made, and the officers there will tell you, especially budget, they will tell you that unless they get a response from Accra, they will not be able to make that payment. They have to get the input from Accra. With the reform, what will you do uniquely to ensure that people in Busiga will not be waiting for a response from Accra before they are able to input and make payments, especially when there are very urgent matters to be dealt with?
Thank you very much, my sister. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity. Some of those issues could be technical, it could be human. In my own way, we have to develop the infrastructure in such a way that things can be done through digitalization. And I want to work with the Communication Ministry to make sure that the digitalization agenda is continued. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this is a follow-up. Will you consider decentralization of the system to make sure that everything is done in the district?
Thank you very much. That is one of the pillars of the OGP that we have, and it's already in the system. And I was asked the same question, whether I would like to continue what is already in the system and even make it more robust. And I said yes. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, my second question. What will you do deliberately to change the structures that are being used in some of the public sectors where you realize that, oh, maybe this activity should have been taken at such and such a level or by such and such a group of people, and yet where it is for now is not the best? What will you do deliberately?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think we thought of bureaucracies, and I already told this committee that bureaucracies have been there, but it is time that we do continuous engagement with the sectors involved so that we come to understand ourselves that things can be done differently using technology. It is easier to use technology and it's faster to use technology. Again, I will engage the other sector ministers so that we have a stakeholder engagement. We see how we can streamline things in the various agencies and the various services. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, my third question. Most businesses mostly being run by our women, especially petty trading across borders, you realize that the women sometimes have a challenge of cross-border sales going and what have you. Because you are going to bring about reforms, and most of the ministries, you actually have the opportunity of dealing with them. I know it's under trade. What will you do to ensure that our women do not suffer the issue of stop at a border, waste time, pay monies, so on? I mean, they have a whole lot of challenges. Let's take it Togo and Busiga, or Togo and Burkina, or better still, Timpani and Burkina. We know, and Togo, we know we are in Ghana. We are very close to Togo. Businesses are being run mostly by our women. What will you do deliberately between the two countries to make sure that our women do not continue suffering.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This question has to do with a lot of ministers, sector ministers. It has to do with the Minister of Trade, it has to do with the Minister of Interior, it has to do with the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So we'll engage, so that if there is an opportunity to engage the other countries, to streamline things and make things easier for our women, I will be very grateful. And I will do that as and when I am approved. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I am done, but there's a little follow-up. My follow-up is this. You see, I am saying this because at the end of the day, most of these women, as I have mentioned, are not mostly financially sound. I know we have MASLOP, maybe we have other agencies that can support in whichever way. Will you consider discussing the issues of giving support to these women to enable them run their petty businesses?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What my sister just said is a concern to every woman in this country, that we want to help ourselves. And I believe that during the campaign, all of us, including my sister, used the fact that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has promised to give us a women bank. So I will try as much as possible to engage the gender minister to see how we can help our fellow women to have something, to put food on the table of their children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I have no any question, my mantra, you see, I won't leave it. If I leave it, it will look as if I don't love you or I don't like you. So I will say, for those who want to always hear and want to take it and put on TikTok, make me more popular, I will say congratulations and bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Hajia. I will now come to my left and yield the floor to Honorable Patrick Boama. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Hajia. Honorable, congratulations.
Thank you, my brother.
A lot of key personalities in this country have been made to handle your ministry, where you are going to be. Dr. Kwesi Ndum, Usueche, Honorable Kujo from Efia. It's a very important sector that has received a lot of funding from the World Bank. A lot. And I'm sure during your briefing, you were told about the Public Sector Reform for Results project, which the World Bank gave the government of Ghana $35 million for some 16 very important agencies of state. I'm sure you've received some briefing on that. A lot of the frustrations Ghanaians go through some of these institutions, the DVLA, the Passport Office, the ministries, department, agencies, to enable them achieve some basic demands from those agencies, but yet they go through some serious frustrations. That is why I believe the President has also followed the cue from President Kufuor, President Mills, and President Mahama to make you a minister. What are some of the key deliverables that you want us to remember you for as Minister for Public Sector Reforms within a space of 4 years to have achieved during your tenure? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that question. I think my brother also forgot that the senior minister was taking care of the secretariat before now. I've gone to the secretariat, I've seen the work that he has done, and when I was asked this question, I answered in the affirmative that I will continue the work. Mr. Chairman, in my own way, I will go to the ministry, if approved, to follow what has been done. I've even seen the report where some work has been done. Some they have achieved some results have not been achieved, and some has partially been achieved. So in my own way, I am going to make sure that I leverage on technology so that there will be transparency in that ministry, there will be accountability, there will be open participation of the citizens, and there will be engagement of government and the civil society. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me refer you to Article 198 of the Constitution. I don't know if you have your Constitution with you. It's a very straightforward question. It says...
Honourable Member, is that a follow-up or is it a new question?
Oh, Lydia, this is my second question.
Right. I just want to be sure. Thank you.
Chairman, it says that except as otherwise provided in this Constitution or any other law not inconsistent with this Constitution, the Public Services Commission shall not be subject to the control or direction of any person or authority in the performance of its functions. I know you are going to be working with the Public Services Commission, and can you assure the country that you are going to give them the independence that they require to recruit the right persons within the public service space? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think this question was asked before by, it was a follow-up from Honorable Dafiamapo. And I mentioned that going to that ministry is going to continue the structures that are already there, to go with government policy and to make sure that the areas that need to be strengthened are strengthened. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We pray so, since the Chief Whip, who is the Chief Counsel for re-examination, has been very good to you. Can we look at page 2 of your CV? 1987 to 89, new job in secondary technical school, blank. And 2017 to 2020, managing director of Nyonyini Commercials Limited. Why is that space blank? Because from there you proceeded to Sandeman Secondary Technical for your O-levels. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I went through the 5-year system, and I started my secondary school education in New Jersey. I did 2 years in New Jersey, and I continued in Sandeman Secondary School. That is where I got my O-level. And then Norian Commercials. Norian Commercials is a private-owned construction company that I was given the opportunity to manage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have known you since you came to Parliament, and I want to tell you, you're a very honest person that I've encountered, and I wish you the very best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Umar, please, you have the floor.
You know, most people do not like change. And you are coming to a ministry where you will be implementing certain changes that will improve a ministry where you will be implementing certain changes that will improve government delivery, and especially to most of our deprived areas and remote in the country. My question is, what will you do to the bureaucratic, those who don't want the changes, especially the bureaucrats within the ministries? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the public services, the bureaucracy is there. It is an open secret that everybody knows that there is bureaucracy in the system. But if you want to have a change, you should engage them, because there are people who actually benefit from the bureaucratic system. They benefit from the status quo. So before you can change them, you have to orientate them as to the reason why you want to change. You have to communicate your goals clearly to them. You have to orientate them. You have to take them through capacity building so that they will understand the reason why you want to change. Thank you.
I'm satisfied. My second question is, have you received any briefing by the Secretariat? And if you do, or if you did, what are the challenges that you will be facing head on the very day you assume office?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The challenges are many. There's limited resources to that ministry. There's bureaucracy, corruption. There is a lot of paperwork that we need to understand why there's a lot of paperwork. And even the scarce resources that they have at the ministry is not enough. Apart from funding, the resources there are not enough for them to work. Thank you.
This is a follow-up, and it's about the bureaucracy and paperwork. Will you consider reducing paperwork at the ministries?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes.
Thank you. Last question. Have you heard the word OGP, which is Open Government Partnership Initiative?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes.
How will you ensure the effective implementation of the action plan, OGP action plan?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. You look at the indicators in the action plan, and we have 16 pillars. That comes under 4 headings. And one is transparency, one is accountability, citizen participation, and technology and innovation. Thank you.
I wish you well. Thank you.
I'm grateful.
Thank you very much. I think I will come to Chief, Minority Chief Whip. Or you've been there too? Reluctantly, yes. Yeah, just one.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Congratulations, Honorable Nominee.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Nominee, I saw that you copiously made reference to the Constitution and in particular Article 190. So you gave the list of public services. I also have cited Article 191 and with the permission of the Honorable Chair. So 191B, with the permission of the Honorable Chair, if I may read, it says that a member of the public services shall not be dismissed or removed from office or reduced in rank or otherwise punished without just cause. Against this backdrop, we have a letter from the Chief of Staff asking that public servants who have gone through both clearances, both financial clearance, technical clearance, especially you having a background as a nurse, and 15,200 nurses, and other ones in Exim Bank, in NEIP, 11,000 teachers are being asked to go home without just cause.
Honorable, I think you came in late. This question has already been asked. So please go straight
But I'm only placing emphasis. I watched, so I know. They are not one and the same, but if chairman thinks differently. So this is my question. Do you think that their revocation has a just cause?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I've answered the question before, and I believe that what I said was I will only be working there at the ministry as a matter of government policy. Thank you.
Okay, so Honorable Minority Chief Whip, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, let me join colleagues to congratulate our nominee, the Honorable Lydia. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I am enjoying your understanding and knowledge of the public sector. I'm enjoying it so far. My first observation is you realize that if you look at the antecedent and the evolution, pre-independence, post-independence, and even where we had military intervention in our governance system, there have been some good public sector reforms. And many of them dovetail into the implementation of the EPR, Economic Recovery Program, PAM-SCARS, Structural Adjustment Program, and you have alluded to all of these. What, in your estimation, is the missing link so far? The missing link in terms of our drive as a nation to reform our public sector?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A number of them, I'm just going to mention one. One of them is political will. As a country, we should have a dialogue so that whatever plan we have, for example, the NAP5, National Action Plan, if successive government will continue from where one starts, I believe it will help us. And we cannot just do that if we begin to think that this is Party A and Party B. we should have a national dialogue, a national plan, that whoever comes to the ministry will continue from where the other one have started. Well, I can see with the little briefing that I've had from the ministry that because of lack of political will, some people are employed due to favoritism and nepotism. And some people are also there who are not supposed to be there. Thank you very much.
You spoke to dialogue. Government that have come and gone. The holding of a dialogue has always been a prominent feature. It has always been a prominent feature. So if you are speaking to dialogue as, want of a better expression, a challenge, what do you really mean? And what do you intend to do differently in the context of dialoguing?
Thank you very much. In the context of dialoguing, I want to employ all sectors of all agencies of the sectors so that we can sit down and find out the missing link. 2, government alone cannot do the reforms. We need the private sector to be part and parcel as a stakeholder for public sector reforms. Thank you.
Honorable Nominee, you do know, as I also do, that your policy of 24-hour economy is become very popular. Indeed popular. So, but I had then candidates, John Dramani Mahama, then candidate, who said that the 24-hour economy is optional. It's an optional policy to do or not to do. In that context, also carrying into the future that you are going to, as you define public sector reform, efficiency, effectiveness, digitalization, etc. What will be the relevance of your 24-hour economy, and how do you intend to buy into this?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The 24-hour economy, His Excellency said to do or not to do, is becoming his policy. Wherever his policy direction is, I will simply follow that policy direction. If he's going to do the 24-hour economy, it will do us good. Me and you know that we are going to employ people in the security services who will take care of us when will take care of businesses in the night. I know you are going to tell me that we have a lot of security personnel, but if we add more, it will help us. As to whether he will do or he will not do, it's a government policy. Like you people had in your manifesto the last time, one village, one dam, one district, one factory. It was your campaign message, it was your policy. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, sorry.
Honorable Nominee, I think we should watch some of the words. You know, you people, it's unparliamentary. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I withdraw that.
Please, Honorable, please.
Honorable Nominee, I think you are forgiven. Colleagues are forgiving you. In one of your statements, you said if, and you premise your statement that if the President, His Excellency, will implement the 24-hour economy. I find that very questionable. because I know His Excellency has appointed a substantive officer at the presidency who is in charge of the 24-hour economy. So the question of if it doesn't come in at all, is it the case that you are not aware, or you are not sure the 24-hour economy will work? Which is which?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. In your submission, your first submission, you mentioned that the president said to do or not to do. So that if that I used was premised on to do or not to do. Thank you.
She defined public sector reform earlier. You recall you defined that, do you? You recall you defined public sector reform? Please answer.
Yes, please.
And so, based on your own definition of public sector reform, are you able to apprise us, and you have received some due briefing from your ministry, some of the important interventions by the previous administration, which you had already agreed that given the nod, you are going to ensure continuation and sustenance? Would you be glad to run us through some of them that you find important and should be sustained going forward?
Thank you very much. What I'm going to mention is captured in the National Action Plan 4 and is co-created with the National Action Plan 5. Those were the achievements in the public sector when it was being overseen by the senior minister, Honorable Osofo-Maafo. I recall during the briefing, I heard there was some activities that was done with the passport office, DVLA, BEFs and DEFs, just to mention a few. And again, in legal terms, some laws were also passed, some acts were also passed during the implementation of the NAP 4. So I think I've seen a couple of things that has been done. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'm just rounding up on my questions. I'm rounding up. The advocacy on anti-corruption, apart from the effectiveness, efficiency in the public sector that we've all been desirous of seeing, the call on anti-corruption is important. We have OSP, we have Attorney General, yet, the fight seems quite suspect. Going into this office, what are you bringing to the table towards the march fighting corruption in our country? What specific interventions would you want to undertake for you to be remembered for?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Some of the interventions I mentioned earlier is about the use of technology and innovation. 2 is about engagement. 3 is about capacity building of the employees or service providers. Thank you.
The success of our public sector reform interventions also depend on how we relate to the private sector. Do you agree to that?
Yes.
So, if you do agree, what interventions should we engage in to strengthen the dialogue between our public sector reform? Because if we reform our public sector and it doesn't cascade into our private sector reformation, it will be lopsided. So is it the case that you are not looking at it from just one angle? You are also looking at how the private sector and the public sector can both marry effectively?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Earlier on, I mentioned that the public sector cannot be reformed without engaging the private sector. So there should be an engagement between the public sector and the private sector. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, this will be my last one. Honorable Lydia, you know, a number of interventions have started by the previous administrations, including His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency Atamis. They all did something. They intervened one way or the other. So, with the benefit of hindsight, in terms of policy and legislation, specific to this, policy and legislation, what will you do differently?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. What I will do differently is to employ technology, innovation too, and then to engage with all the sectors.
Thank you very much, Leader. I will now engage Honorable Achampon on the 217. Same.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for coming back to me. Honorable Leader, congratulations.
Thank you.
I have a quick intervention. You know, we live in a country where every worker or government employee is asking for better conditions of service. But nobody is talking about productivity. Do you have any plans to reorient the working class so that they will give out their best, increase productivity, so they also get their share of the profitability that will be generated from their work?
Yes.
Thank you. Now I will let Honorable Roxanne, and then I'll come. Yeah, you're done. Yes, he just asked a question. Yeah, Honorable Roxanne, please.
Chairman, thank you. My wife.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
And congratulations to you. I am certain that our children are watching you from nearby, and they are happy about your performance. I have no doubt you will succeed. Thank you. Now, public sector reforms. It took on this name from about 2005. But from between the middle of the 80s to the 90s, there have been major reforms in our public sector. And so by 2005, when President Kufuor was about to end his first term, as part of the African peer review mechanisms, an office ought to be created under the aegis of the then senior minister, if you recall. And so concrete, deliberate government policies were channeled or were implemented via that office. Now, we've had reforms and within the educational subsector. Today, university admissions are mostly online. When we were entering a university, you had to purchase the form and fill and submit. Today, it's no longer so. Admissions are communicated via cyberspace. When you pass your West African exams, West African Examination Council exams, you can access your results online. And when you are qualified to progress, GES has rolled out a platform called School Placement. And so you no longer travel to your school to ask your headmaster to admit you. You were placed, and then you only go for your admissions. Now, you no longer go to notice board to check whether you've been admitted or not. Land administration, major reforms. I recall championed by my own professor, Professor Kwame Jan, led the major land reforms. Land transactions are generally becoming smoother now, even though we still have bottlenecks. The judiciary, today court processes are filed online. Judgments are delivered via online. Lawyers receive court judgments online. As part of our rules of procedure today, a defendant or a party to a case can be served online. Those are major reforms. In fact, as part of the first phase of the reforms, when the computerization project was introduced in the 90s, it led to the construction of the modern court complex in Accra under Professor Notes. Major reforms. And just a couple of months ago, the immediate past government was running or had an office for public sector reforms and had a project for reforms for performance. And it was led by the then senior minister, then senior presidential advisor on these matters. So, but the secretariat is there, they are operating. And our national program between 2018 and 2023, the 5-year program is ended. We need a new action plan. Will you consider finalizing that this year under your aegis so that we can have focused and improved sector reforms, especially even Parliament? We are about to go online. Consuls have been provided. Members of Parliament now can read proceedings on their consuls, correct votes and proceedings online. And statements of colleagues can also be posted online for members to comment on, so that this can be further improved. Because for me, in the public sector, the only constant is positive reforms. Will you consider doing that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes. The NAP 4 is ending in June, and the NAP 3, and the NAP 5 has already started. It's supposed to start this February. So by the end of December, or at the end of the year, we are supposed to assess the implementation of the NAP 5. And it's one of the briefs that I had from the Secretariat.
Good. One other area within our public subsector that I think also will need your attention in terms of policy implementation is our BEVs and DEVs registry. I think you should consider rolling out a program where BEVs are captured contemporaneously, records of childbirth. They are captured and certificates are produced contemporaneously. You don't have to go for weeks and months before you get the certificate for the birth of your child. So should be DEVs, so that in our hinterlands with an app, when the event occurs, it's entered, it's registered online, and a certificate online is generated. So this pension for people for amending birth certificates or date of births to cheat the system will stop. I believe if you do that, it will generate revenue, it will bring sanity, it will bring major reforms in that subsector. Because you recall, the issue of birth certificate became a subject of a Supreme Court matter for which there's an existing decision. Will you consider doing that for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes. And if you look at it currently, you can register your health insurance online, so it can be done. Thank you.
And finally, will you consider introducing some reforms in our school feeding program so that we can monitor how the implementation of that program is impacting the schools? Because as a member of the Public Accounts Committee, a lot of issues have been raised regarding the actual impact on our children in the schools. So that, for instance, where a caterer is supposed to provide meals to the DA primary school in Todome, in Southline, a simple app should be able to tell that, yes, today, Monday, the caterer did provide meals and of a certain quality to the children. It will cut the issues of caterers being given money to provide food, and yet they don't provide the right quantities, the right quality. The app will be a monitoring mechanism for circuit supervisors to tell whether this a social intervention program is being delivered as intended by government or not.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes. If we are able to provide the infrastructure that will help us to monitor the school feeding and other things, it will go a long way to bring accountability and transparency in the system. Thank you.
Finally, the other area I want you to consider reforming is again within schools, but the secondary school subsector. Feeding by or provision of food items to our secondary schools. It's a major focus of the Auditor General. And within the past couple of years, he's flagged in many schools, because the center may direct that, for instance, Peking Secondary School should be provided with 100 bags of rice. The supplier ends up providing 60 bags of rice. Because they need the food, they are unable to reject. They hope that the shortfall of 40 bags will come. It never comes. But if you roll out some reforms in terms of an app to monitor, to track when these food items are supplied, we can check that the correct quantities are supplied and on time, and also the quality. You must have heard recently that there were issues raised by the Auditor General regarding some expired food items provided to some schools. This reform that I'm asking you to consider implementing will also check that the quality of the food, the items, the efficacy, everything manufactured, everything will be checked, so we can have an instantaneous way of determining if anybody wants to cheat the system. You consider reviewing that system for us, won't you?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I said earlier, I will work with the communication minister so that we provide the infrastructure that can do that for us. Thank you.
Chairman, on this note, I want to wish my wife all the best. I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Chief. I will now come to my left again and engage Honorable Patricia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Chairman, I hear I'm supposed to call my wife in quotes.
50 years. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman. Honorable Lydia, adding my voice to the numerous people who have congratulated you, and I must say that I'm proud of you as an individual who, among the very few women that have been appointed, I know people are asking because, yes, and I must say that somewhere in February, sometime last week or so, you faced a criticism from a private legal practitioner in the person of Martin Pebu, who questioned your suitability for the role of the Minister of State for Public Sector Reforms. Mr. Pebu argued that based on your credential, you lack the necessary experience to lead the ministry effectively. Do you think this comment stems from the patriarchal nature of Ghana? And if not, how are you going to position yourself to prove him wrong? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, my sister, for that observation. It is when people are in the public domain, everybody has the right to express his or her opinion. I started my career as a staff nurse, rose to the rank of a senior nursing officer. I have been in the public service for not less than 15 years. From there, I went to NADMO. I worked as a senior disaster management officer. My responsibility at the ministry is to collaborate and provide leadership so that the structures at the ministry will work. The president has interacted with me. He knows my capabilities, and I don't think he has made a mistake by appointing me as a public sector reform minister. And I want to assure Ghanaians and lawyer Martin Pebu that if it is about your experience, they would have asked professors to be the president of this country because they have a lot of experience, they have learned a lot, or the Minister for Health should have been a professor in health and not any other person. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you, Honorable Nominee. Honorable Chair, Honorable Nominee, you provided us with your task clearance certificate, and I made an observation on it. And I realized that in 2023, you paid more taxes than in 2024. If I go through your CV, you don't have any extra business going for you. And I believe that maybe we'll have to cross-check and find out What kind of information did you provide them to give you that kind of, because the 2024, you paid something far less than what you paid in 2023. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my sister. What really happened in 2023 was that the previous years, I didn't file my tax returns, so I was given a penalty to pay, and that rose the figure to that level. Thank you.
Rightly so. There's something that I normally do, and it's since you are going to undertake public sector reforms, one of the questions that I would like to ask you, my sister, is whether you are very conversant with the Affirmative Action Act. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my sister. Mr. Chairman, yes, I was part of the discussions. If you remember, when we went to Koforidua together, I was a friend to the committee, and I was part of the discussion. I can't read all the sections in that bill, but at least I have some knowledge about the Affirmative Action Bill. And it was one of the achievements of the NAP4 in 2023 and 2024. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Then to follow up, may I know what you are going to do? Because you are very much aware that women's participation in politics and leadership still remains very low. So what initiatives will you push to encourage more women to take up those leadership roles? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, my sweet sister. I myself am a role model. If I give you my story, you would like to be like me. So I'm going to mentor young ladies in that ministry to become what they themselves aspire to be, and to encourage them. In the old English language, they will say the sky is the limit. But to me, there is something beyond the sky that you can go, and I will tell them so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are you aware that under clause 15, there's a specific activity that your sector will have to undertake to ensure the gender equity or inequality, finally, and therefore, and then also make reference to the third schedule. So, my honorable nominee, I would like to find out from you, what exactly will you be doing? Because there's a specific responsibility for you to undertake that action. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I mentioned earlier, I've not been able to go through, and I cannot remember everything that is in that act. But as you have brought to my attention, I will go and read and practice it and make sure that whatever has been provided there is achieved for the interest of women and for the interest of gender. Thank you.
That's exactly what I wanted to achieve. If it's happening on your blind side, I want to bring you to speed on that. And one aspect that we are also trying as much as possible to ensure that there will be reforms in that is that what strategies will your office adopt to ensure public funds are equitably allocated to programs specifically targeting welfare and women and children? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the ministry, I think there are already programs and policies at the ministry that is also geared towards women and gender issues. And when, by God's grace, I am approved, I will make sure that I will carry on that to the latter. Thank you.
And finally, Honorable, we are very much aware of how you became an MP. And you have been found on record to indicate that you have performed far, far, far better than your predecessor. Could you please let us into what difference you have made in that respect? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My sister wants to know the activities that I've carried on in my constituency. My constituency is a vast constituency. I have a lot of activities to my credit. Currently, I have 2 chiefs compounds to my credit. I have given the constituency its facelift for 1 chief's compound. I have produced 500 dual decks for the schools. I have 172 students that are supported for the past 4 years. I have helped the education office for them to run their system, because sometimes their money doesn't come early. I can go on and on and on, but just to mention a few. But if you really want to know what I have done, I can provide that to you on paper. Thank you very much.
And finally, Mr. Chair, listening to you answering questions from our various MPs who are here, contributors to your vetting, I realize that you've always been talking about the introduction of technology. But let me come into this specific issue. You've come under a very good exposure from our chief whip in the person of Honorable Dafiamakbo. Honorable, the Akufo-Addo government started the digitalization agenda. Digital transformation has the potential to revolutionize public service delivery. Yet many regions in Ghana still struggle with limited access to modern digital infrastructure. What initiative will your office pursue to modernize government operations, and how will you ensure that these digital advancements benefit both the urban